Warning: resin is a toxic material and extremely harmful for the respiratory system when airborne during sanding, grinding, or drilling. The dust, when breathed in, can cause short and long-term health problems, including cancer. Please use a particle or dual organic respirator. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Mock on a Man at YouTube, building another 70-second armour piece and spinning things around, being a bit different. I want to try an armoured car and a resin garage kit. So I've looked at this AEC British armoured fighting vehicle. The mob making it is Sparrow Casting. They've got a massive catalogue of 20mm resin vehicles of all makes and model. Australian organisation and local to my area. I picked this up from the Bayonet Military Model Competition. Met the guy who sculpted it himself, and they literally have hundreds and hundreds of items on offer. Immediate look at the kit. This is homemade, hand sculpted. It's casted in a few basic pieces. There are a lot of immediate errors, warping, and lots of air bubbles. Being white, the majority of the mistakes are difficult to see. The good points: very few parts, very thick, and metal wire inside the cannon. Much appreciated. This should not be too difficult to put together, though I will not judge it as a commercial kit, but more so as a fun fan project. It is rough as guts, though I shall thoroughly enjoy it and be rewarded with a finished unique model. Now, straight off the bat, I gave this a thorough scrub and wash using a softish sponge, dishwashing detergent in a small ceramic bowl. Let it soak for quite a few hours, scrubbed it again, gave it a wipe down and a quick rewash and rinse to get all soap off. Not knowing the origins of release of mold agents, I'm positive this has not received a clean yet. Once all the pieces are free of any slimy or greasy textures and is completely bone dry, we're ready to remove the flash marks and large pouring sprues. A fine-tooth saw, sandpaper and a knife, as well as a Dremel for the larger hull piece, will be sufficient. Just cutting the piece off with a little extra and doing fining, carving work and sanding work later until the piece has a natural round or shaped profile. We'll be grinding off the really large piece at the bottom here, and there's quite a bit of spills and lumps of resin in the wheel wells, which will be taken out with a finer diamond piece. Unfortunately, as useful as the Dremel is, this is going to be throwing and spewing dust all over the place and all over yourself. Soon as you're finished grinding down the majority of it and detailing it up, I highly advise getting a damp cloth and wiping up all of the dust particles. For some reason, resin dust is attracted to wet cotton, and rinse it down the drain. Do this a few times. Very tedious, but important for your health. All this before you take your mask off. I kind of got a bit carried away and impatient and made a dog's dinner of the bottom, which will be dealt with in putty. But the cab or hull of the vehicle is of a good height, and all the pieces are what they look like before they go together. Test fit is always a good option to make sure that they go together well. But there is holes and bubble holes from the casting process all over the place. So I immediately patch up the most obvious ones, and including work in the wheel well and bottom to mess up my mistake. I went through a couple of days of laying a bit of putty, sanding it away, looking for mistakes. Later on that got a bit difficult, so I prepped the pieces, gave them a quick rinse and prepared to prime to look for more mistakes. The Mr. Hobby Mr. Surfacer reacts very well to resin opposed to a Tamiya primer, which struggles a bit from what I've been told, so taking that advice, I found that to be the case. The 500 grit primer was used first to help cover a lot of the smaller holes and protrude the larger ones. The 1000 grit is a lot finer and doesn't flat out detail as much. That would probably be the final layer. Though mistakes, particularly on top of the turret where I couldn't see it with the white, was very obvious, and multiple layers of putty, then sanding again, continued to get as a clean finish as I humanly can. Even though it's not openly recommended, I found Squadron sticks to clean resin quite effectively and fill the holes, though it doesn't stick as well as styrene does, obviously. A final layer of Mr. Surfacer 1000, and this is quite a dramatic difference to the original pieces of resin I was exposed with, all glued together with super glue. Painting on top of the resin is like any other kit, not too much of a problem. Choice of paint was Tamiya acrylics, using obviously no reference material. I followed some pictures I found online of finished kits and real examples, and did a soft edge camouflage with colours that I've found to be fairly close-ish. Hand painted the wheels and small other details, and weathered with the usual inks, dry brushing and pigments. Going back to Sparrow Castings at the Bayonet Military Model Competition, they also sold me these 20mm scale decals, which they had for various classes and type of armour throughout the Second World War and slightly post. These were very handy, applied very well, and even though I couldn't get the perfect battalion markings that were comparable on the internet, I found something that was British looking enough and ran with that. And not very historically accurate, but didn't want to go to the effort of getting custom made decals. Not really researching or looking into this subject, this is one really big armoured car with some serious armour and guns attached to it. It would definitely give most German and Axis subjects a run for their money, though compared to other British tanks I have, definitely kind of puts them to shame. This thing is very, very cool in how it sort of forces itself out there. Besides the subject, more so focus of buying and building this was having a little play around with resin, and I attempted a home garage kit over a professional studio commercial cast. In my absolute humble opinion, for others attempting resin kits, I most certainly recommend be moderately skilled, or at least have a few different type of model kits under your belt before you try a different medium. Be aware of the risks and challenges, and attempt a more expensive commercial kit first, as you won't have as much challenges or heartbreaks as these ones. If the medium fancies, or you fancy the medium and had a good time, definitely crack out a cheaper, more hard to come by garage mob, particularly local. I definitely had fun, even though there's a lot of work invested in this, and we'll definitely buy another one from Sparrow Casting. Thank you very much for watching, and this was a pleasure to build.